friends, and welcome back to my crafty space. My name is Crystal, and in today's video I am going to be putting together my first project using the Feed Your Craft kit called Friends Forever. Now this kit was designed by Emma May and has all kinds of really fun, really whimsical designs with it, and I love that it is very much love themed in addition to being friends themed. So for my spread today, my plan is to create a spread to go inside of my 6x8 story album with an insert. So it's going to be two 6x8 sections with a 3x8 section in the middle. And in that middle section, I'm going to be using a transparency, and I'm going to be creating my own patterned mini envelopes that are going to hold some love letters, which I wrote one to my mom, one to my sister, and one to myself. So those are going to go inside of some little envelopes, and then we have some additional photos and journaling and all that fun stuff. I did go ahead and print out some of my journaling on one of the journaling cards, which I will make sure to link that up at the eye. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put this down in the description box, so that way it's really easy for you guys to find that if you want to see how to print journaling on physical journaling cards. And then other than that, we're just going to have a bunch of fun stamping and making little envelopes and embellishing and doing all the really fun things today. I'm super excited to dive into this project. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're going to get started on this spread by first working on those outside 6x8 pages. So on the left side, really the only thing I have to do is just take this photo, which I printed at 3 inches tall by 5 inches wide. I'm going to add some adhesive onto the back of it and position it somewhere in the middle. I really like how this looks with the black and white photo, and then with all of those colorful stars all around us. I think it actually turns out really nice and goes super well with the photo that will be on the right hand side. Now both of these photos here are actually from my wedding day. I don't necessarily have a wedding scrapbook. I do have a wedding album that came with our photography package, so I never felt the need to actually create a wedding album. Instead, I just randomly use pictures whenever I feel like they can help me tell the story. So this one, I'm talking about, relationships with my mom and my sister. So it made perfect sense to me to get a photo from my wedding of me, my mom, and my sister. So that's what we're doing here. Plus, the photos are really awesome. So I really just like to use them whenever I can. So on this large photo of us, I printed this at the full page. This will be outside of a page protector. I am adding 3 of those cardstock, or what I want to say, I guess they are cardstock embellishment ephemera pieces, in a little cluster at the bottom corner, and then I added the best friends word phrase on top. So I think it looks really nice. The colors look awesome, and I love even how it kind of melds in with my bouquet. So I think it looks really good. So now that we have the easier parts done from this spread, we're now going to work on the insert portion. So for this, I have a piece of transparency that I had cut down. It's just plain clear transparency. I cut that down to about 3.75 inches by 8.25 inches. It's a little bit wider than that, but that's basically the measurements. And then I did go ahead and hole punch that as well. Then, prior to turning on my camera, I had cut out some plain white cardstock into 4-inch by 4-inch squares. For each of these, so there are 3 of them, I'm going to create a different pattern. 2 of the patterns will be the same, they're just going to be different colors, and then one of them is going to be with the leaves instead of with the flowers. So I decided to pull out my pink and red Tim Holtz Distress inks. Sorry, I had to think about what they're called. The red one is Candied Apple, and the pink one is maybe Raspberry Preserves. I'm not sure what it's called, but I'll make sure to link it down below. And then for the green, I tested out a couple of the Tim Holtz Distress ink greens, and just none of them were as close a match as I would have liked to the colors in this kit. So then I pulled out my Evergreen, I believe is what it's called, Close to My Heart ink, and that one was much better. So that's the one I'm going to go with. So for this one, I am just going to add these leaves all around the card, trying to squeeze them in to leave as little white space as possible. I love, love, love the way that that turned out. I could totally see myself making a big pattern of that to be like a pattern paper background for something, because it looks so cool. And then for the hearts that I did, not hearts, hearts, for the flowers I did earlier, I just did the same thing, you know, spread them around the whole page. Then I took the opposite ink. So for the red one, I took the pink ink, and stamped in the center. And then for the pink flowers, I'm going to add a red center. So they're kind of opposite of each other. With the pink and red, it's much easier to see the center, but with the red one, you can still kind of tell that there is something in the middle. And I actually think that they both look really cool. So now we have our patterns done. Next, what I'm going to do is bring out my envelope punch board. So it's from We Are Memory Keepers. And I am going to punch these into shapes that can then become tags. So for this punch board, essentially what you're going to do is take your 4-inch square and line it up at the 1.75 inches. Then you're going to punch it and score the line. From there, you just line up the scored line with the left-hand side. There's like a line going down at an angle on the left and an angle on the right. So you're going to line them up on the left and then punch it and score it until you get all 4 sides. And then I'm going to go ahead and round those corners just because I like the way that that looks. And then I'm going to repeat this process. Wow, you guys, I can't talk today. I'm going to repeat this process for the other 2 envelopes as well. So then we can go ahead and score all those lines. I am going to trim a little bit off of the bottom flap just because I don't like it poking up over. So I'm just going to take a little piece off, make sure that it's okay, and then I will line that up with all the rest of them and cut off that bottom portion as well. That way they're all the same, and then I don't have to make, I don't have to guess later where to cut it at. So then I can add adhesive to the edges of the bottom 2 flaps and then fold up the very bottom. So the sides are folded in, the bottom is folded up. Once I have that done, I can go ahead and score this last little flap, which is going to go from the top to the bottom. I think these are so stinking cute. I also took out 3 of these 2-tone hearts, and I'm going to add those on top of the flap as though they are, you know how sometimes there's like a sticker that helps to hold your envelope closed? I wanted it to kind of look like that, but I actually just put it at the corner. Like I didn't have it go below the flap, if that makes sense. I just thought that it looked nice nestled at the bottom. So yeah, it's good enough for me. So we're adding all of those. And then the last thing I need to do for these envelopes is to put some closures on them. My favorite thing to do with these is to grab out my tiny little Velcro dots. These are, I believe, 3, they might be one, they're either 1/8 of an inch. I wonder if I can read it. 3/8 of an inch. That's what they are. 3/8 of an inch. And they are sticky backed and clear. So you just stick 2 of them together and then put it on the portion that you want to adhere down, and then stick the whole thing down onto the envelope itself. So now they've got a Velcro closure that I can open up and close at my leisure. So next I need to take these envelopes and we're going to add them onto that transparency piece. So I'm going to pull over all of these pieces, the whole spread, just so I can make sure that everything is lined up decently enough on here before I go and adhere them down. For adding them onto the transparency, I'm just going to use some 1/8 inch score tape. Now, you can slightly see it a little bit on the backside, but it really doesn't bother me. And I'm also going to add some embellishments onto the back of those little envelopes, so that will cover up a large portion of the tape as well. It's really not that big a deal. I just wanted to be able to see through to the picture. So, we get all these envelopes on there, and then you can, when it's on top of the photo, you can see that there's a photo behind that goes with it. So we are now working on the back side. I've gone ahead and adhered everything down. So the first thing I do is add the stamp in the upper right-hand corner. It is kind of like an oversized stamp on here, but I think it still has the aesthetic that I wanted it to have, and they're honestly just super cute. Then I debated adding these on there as well. I will, for now, put them to the side because I'm thinking I could add them to the bottom of my journaling. For my journaling, I printed this out in columns that were 2.5 inches wide by X amount long. Now, all of mine ended up being 2.5 by 7. I tried to make my height in increments of 1.5 inches because the inside of the envelopes are 2.5 by 1.5. So I knew that if I did it that way, I could get it to fold perfectly, and then it would go inside of the envelope fairly easy. It just worked out that all of my journaling seemed to fit inside of a 2.5 inch by 7 inch strip. So I did that. I scored them at the 1.5 inch mark. So I just went down the line, folded them up, and then pressed them down. Here is where I'm going to try adding those little pieces to the bottom of the journaling. The first one looks okay, and then when I go to do the next ones, I realize that there's just really not a lot of space at the bottom, and I don't like the way it looks. So I will take it off. I will rub off the adhesive just because I don't like it where it's at. And then I'm going to go with my original idea and add those pieces onto the backs of the envelopes. So it almost looks like the address for the person, but it's not. It's just a sentiment. And I think it really looks pretty cute in the end anyway. So then this one I have to go back and take it off. I have a sand eraser there, and that does help to remove some glue. I just try to remove as much with my finger first and then go ahead and use the eraser to get whatever is left. So we're going to add these last two pieces here on the back. I will put the last little letter there inside. I ended up writing one to my mom, one to my sister, and one to myself. Just letters of love, little love letters to everybody. And I think that it turned out really super duper cute. All right, you guys, that completes this spread for today. Love how this one came together. I think I love these tiny little envelopes, and I'm just trying to find all the ways that I can use them in all of my different albums. So I've got my journaling, a couple photos in here, this acetate piece that's got the little bits of embellishments on the back, and then each one of these opens up and has a letter. So I've got one that is to my mom, one that's to my sister, and then a letter also to myself, just talking about being grateful for all three of us and the awesome positive qualities that we each bring to the relationship we have with each other. So that is that. I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing this spread come together. I hope it gives you a little bit of inspiration on using maybe some interactive pieces in your stories. And if you did enjoy this one, I would love a thumbs up down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can see all of the content I have coming your way in the future. And then I will be back on Monday. Wait, today's Monday, I think. I'll be back later this week with a few more process videos, so make sure to keep an eye out for those. I have no idea what today is, so there's that. All right, until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye now.